Hi folks, Pat Healy here for the Laker News. I'm here with Sackville-Cobequid PC candidate Paul Russell. We're going to talk to him about some questions as he's campaigning for the election. So first of all, give a little bit about your background.
Sure. Thank you, Pat. My background, I've been in Sackville for about 30 years, doing what I can to help out the community throughout that time. I was an elected member of the school board 25 years ago. 15 years ago, I started managing a group called the Sackville Community Development Association and all of the parades in Lower Sackville. So I've worked with all of the community groups over my time, and I've had a really good relationship with them. This is an excellent community, and I have supported it for a long time, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do that.
All right. What has the campaign been like so far?
So far, it's been pretty good. We've been able to have lots of good conversations with people about the issues that are important to them. And we have been able to address many of those issues with what we're looking for with the PC platform. So it has been good so far. I'm encouraged by the responses that we have had, and I'm, again, looking forward to many more conversations with people.
What are the top 3 concerns you are hearing from residents in Sackville-Cobequid, and how would you address them if elected as MLA?
Yeah, thank you. That is significant. In the conversations that we've had, we've been hearing predominantly about housing, homelessness, the economy. There have been some discussions about health issues. That is on a lot of people's minds, and so we've been able to address a lot of that with some of the work that the PC government has already done, but also with some of the announcements that have been coming up. So I'm encouraged that the government is on track with what is happening in the community, and I look forward to seeing how the rest of the platform will fit with the rest of the conversations that we're going to be having.
In Sackville and areas outward, there are many commuters going to work in Halifax and taking their own vehicle because transit just isn't an option or doesn't exist. How would you, as an MLA, work with the municipal government to make transit from these areas a priority if elected?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. One of the things about Sackville is many people work here, but many people travel into Halifax, and so we've got to consider all of the options around that. I've been working with HRM Transit for the past 5 years while I've been a councillor, and now it's time to look at the provincial focus for that as well. We've got a group called the Joint Regional Transportation Agency, which is looking at all of the ways to move people and goods, not just within HRM, but an hour outside of HRM. So when we look at Truro or Windsor or places like that, how do we get people and goods back and forth across the entire area, and especially into HRM? I see that within Sackville we do need better options for transit, and that is something that I've been working on. We will be able to continue to do that once I'm the MLA.
The following question has been submitted to us by the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Nova Scotians want to own homes, but it is getting increasingly difficult to do so. What will you do to make it easier for Nova Scotian families to buy homes in our community?
Absolutely, and this is a great question. I mean, we're seeing housing challenges all over the place, and Lower Sackville, there isn't a whole lot of room to build houses, but that is still an option. And so when we're looking at building, that will be happening in other places. In Lower Sackville, we will be looking at helping people buy houses. And so what the PC party has announced is better options for first-time home buyers, lowering the down payment from 5% to 2% for first-time home buyers on a home of up to $500,000. This is something that I'm very encouraged to see, and I'm hoping to be able to continue with that.
The need for housing is increasing, so it's important to have homes for everyone, but with the increased climate crisis and global warming, what would you, as MLA, do about the increased development that are causing deforestation, infilling of oceans and wetlands, and the overall destruction of the natural habitat happening in Nova Scotia?
And this is a really challenging question. What we have to try and do is balance the things that make Nova Scotia great, all of the nature, all of the wildlife, all of the forestry, all of the rugged coastline that we have here, as well as the massively growing population. So we have to make sure that setbacks from any water bodies are protected. We have to make sure that setbacks from the coastline are protected, that we look at the floodplains, and this is work that HRM is doing, but we also need to do it around the province. With a lot of the environmental consideration of deforestation, we have to make sure that communities are well planned in areas that will have the least impact on the natural wildlife. One of the things that we found through COVID is that the parks and the trails, the natural environment here in Lower Sackville, was a real benefit to those people who needed to get out and needed to just be around, but be away from other people in some cases, and it raise the priority of what we're doing as far as looking at the parks and the trails. So we really need to focus on those at the same time, making sure that we accommodate the increased development that is going to happen because of the increased population. This is going to be a tough balancing act, but I'm sure we'll be able to do it.
What needs do you see in the Sackville-Cobequid riding, like infrastructure, roadways, healthcare, that you would like to work on if elected as MLA?
Absolutely. We have a lot of things here, especially in relation to healthcare. So this is why we are talking about opening the emergency room at the Cobequid Health Centre to 24/7. This is something that was tried a little while ago, and it wasn't quite the right time for it. Now, with the increased population and the increased demand for it, and the more difficulty getting into Halifax, having a 24/7 emergency room out here makes all the sense in the world. We also have increased services at Shoppers Drug Mart, for example, so you can go and see the pharmacy and get a strep test, and this relieves pressure on a lot of the primary care clinicians. With the primary care clinicians, the Cobequid Health Centre has a primary care clinic every Saturday and Sunday where you can go and see a doctor, even if you don't have a doctor. And that is relieving a lot of the pressure on the emergency room and on many other places. We do need to work on increasing the capacity of our healthcare system, our transportation, communication, water, wastewater, power, housing, all sorts of other things. Education and healthcare as well, just to make sure that we accommodate the increased population and everything else that goes along with it. It's going to be a huge challenge, and we're up to the task.
How do you plan to address the barriers women face in accessing healthcare, including issues with wait times and availability of specialists in fields like gynecology?
That's a great question. What we are seeing is increased wait times at the IWK for women with all sorts of issues, and this is why the PC Party has announced the clinic for menopause that is going to deal with the best in practice in that clinic and will relieve some of the pressure that is on the IWK. Having both of those options available should reduce the wait times, should increase the availability of services and of appointments at the IWK. So we're working on it. There's a lot more work to do, but there are fixes being applied to healthcare, and that is a major one.
Why are you the choice for residents to vote for?
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the time here. The reason that I would like people to vote for me is because I have an extensive background with the community, helping out with every community group that we have around here, with many of the churches, with many of the schools. I know the community. I have been the councillor for 5 years, and I understand all of the nuances and all of the problems and all of the challenges and all of the opportunities that come with being in Lower Sackville. And I'm looking further afield at all of Nova Scotia to see how we can make the best province in the country even better, and the best community in the province, Lower Sackville, even better. So I would appreciate your support, and on November 26th, I would ask for you to elect me, Paul Russell, as the MLA for Lower Sackville. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I'd like to thank the Pink Piano Cafe for accommodating us to do this interview. Pat Healy for the Laker News in Lower Sackville.